WrestleMania 22 is so overlooked. Okay, 2006 is a year perceived by many as one of the worst years in WWE history. Sure, there were terrible things during this time such as the Boogeyman, the relaunch of ECW, December to Dismember, and many other things. But there were some positives in this year, such as the crowning of RVD as the WWE Champion, Booker T finally winning the World Heavyweight Champion in the WWE, Jeff Hardy returning, the return of DX to some people, ECW One Night Stand, Armageddon 2006, which I should discuss another time, Unforgiven 2006, and of course, WrestleMania 22. WrestleMania 22 was the last WrestleMania to be held in an arena, and was probably the loudest WrestleMania crowd due to the fact that it was in an arena and in Chicago. As 2005 came to a close, WWE finally found two superstars to succeed Austin and Rock, Batista and John Cena at WrestleMania 21. As November 2005 came along, plans for WrestleMania 22 were starting to take shape. Batista was set to face Randy Orton, John Cena was set to face Triple H, and Shawn Michaels versus Eddie Guerrero were the marquee matches. Unfortunately, Eddie Guerrero sadly passed away on November 13th. In early January of 2006, Batista suffered an injury and was out for 6 months, which meant he was out for WrestleMania 22. SmackDown needed a superstar, most likely from Raw, to carry the World Heavyweight Championship going into WrestleMania. Trevor Murdoch was originally going to be that man, but instead it turned out to be Kurt Angle. Anyways, let's get into the event. The first matchup was for the World Tag Team Championships, in which Carlito and Chris Masters faced Kane and The Big Show. Now this match was just there and it was nothing special. Big Show and Kane retained the championships, and Carlito was starting his face run. Next up, the Money in the Bank ladder match. This matchup was pretty good. It had a few spots, and that Shelton flip off the leaning ladder, oh my, that was amazing. In the end, RVD won the briefcase in an entertaining matchup. RVD cashed in the briefcase against Cena at One Night Stand, and you know the rest. Chris Benoit defended the United States Championship against JBL. It was nothing special, but it was pretty decent. JBL emerged as a winner. Next up was the legendary hardcore match between Edge and Mick Foley. Edge cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase at New Year's Revolution and captured the WWE Championship from John Cena. Edge went on to have a rated R celebration which drew 5.2 million viewers, a first in nearly a year. And by the way, if you were thinking that the episode 5.2 million, it didn't. The segment drew 5.2 million. Edge lost the championship to John Cena at the Royal Rumble. Eventually, Edge would face Cena once again for the championship, but Mick Foley was the guest referee. Edge lost and blamed Foley for the loss, and then next week challenged Foley to a match at WrestleMania. Eventually, Foley would reject the offer and instead challenge Edge to a hardcore matchup. Anyways, this was probably the match of the night, with the highlights being that Edge found a new sadistic side in him, and he speared Mick Foley through the table. Just look at Edge after the matchup and how befuddled he is. Foley helped Randy Orton, and now Edge. This is an amazing way for Foley to go out until 2 months later. What kind of match would follow this up? What could beat it? Oh, I know. Boogeyman versus Booker T. What a terrible way to follow up that legendary matchup. If only Booker T was involved in the Money in the Bank ladder match, or even the United States Championship match. But I don't think he could have gotten involved in the US title match because his feud with Benoit ended at No Way Out. Anyways, Boogeyman won and went on hiatus due to an injury he suffered before WrestleMania. I mean, come on, why the hell did he beat Booker T? He shouldn't have been the five-time WCW champ. Trish Stratus faced off against Mickie James for the WWE Women's Championship in a great matchup. Mickie James debuted on the October 10th, 2005 edition of Raw as the biggest fan of Trish Stratus, and eventually even kissed her under the mistletoe. Eventually, this would turn out like the song Stand by Eminem, with Mickie having feelings for Trish, and Trish tells her to back off. On the returning Saturday night's main event, Mickie leans in for a kiss and Trish shovels her, which leads to Mickie hitting Trish with a chick kick. Up until 2016, this was regarded as probably the greatest women's matchup in WrestleMania history. As you know the story of Mickie grabbing Trish in her private area and making a sign, which Vince would chew her out for in the back afterward. He would win the Women's Championship for the first time in her career. Overall, it was a great matchup. The Undertaker faced Mark Henry in a casket match. The Undertaker faced Kurt Angle twice in legendary matches before, so it's going to be basically impossible to follow that up with an even better match. This match was nothing bad, it was just there. The Undertaker ends up winning and extending his streak to 14-0. Mr. WrestleMania versus Mr. McMahon. On the December 26, 2005 episode of Raw, Mr. McMahon was bragging about scoring Bret Hart. Shawn Michaels then came to the ring and said that it was time to let go of 97 in Montreal. McMahon took offense to Michaels' comment. In the weeks before the Royal Rumble, McMahon added a stipulation to every one of Michaels' matchup. At the Royal Rumble, Shane McMahon appeared after 3 years away from the WWE programming and eliminated Michaels. The next night, Shane hit HBK with a steel chair. Eventually, it was announced that HBK and McMahon would face each other in an all-holds-barred match. This was a great beatdown on McMahon. I loved when Michaels grabbed the magazine cover and smashed it over his head. That was amazing. It's an amazing encounter with Michaels. The ending was when HBK jumped off a 20-foot ladder onto McMahon, who was lying on a table with a trash can over his head. Oh, and the best part is, after the match, when McMahon was on a stretcher and gave HBK the finger. That was some good stuff. The next match was probably the most fast-paced matchup of the night. Kurt Angle defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio. This match deserved double or even triple the time it had, as it only clocked in at freaking 9 minutes. Rey Mysterio won the 2006 Royal Rumble match in honor of Eddie Guerrero. He eliminated Randy Orton to win the matchup. Over the next couple of weeks, Orton attacked Rey through verbal remarks towards Eddie Guerrero. Eventually, Rey would put up his title shot on the line at No Way Out. He lost to the Legend Killer. Theodore Long re-added Rey into the title match. This match, in my opinion, is probably the greatest match that ended under 10 minutes. Rey Mysterio won the championship and started his title reign with a win against Randy Orton in one of SmackDown's greatest matches of all time. The title reign wasn't so good, and he eventually dropped the championship to King Booker. Once again, what could follow up an amazing matchup? Damn pillow fight between Tori and Candice. And the main event. I would have preferred to see Edge and Cena main event, but whatever, it was still good enough. Cena recaptured the WWE Championship from Edge at the Royal Rumble, and Triple H won a tournament to face John Cena for the WWE Championship. People were rooting for a man they despised for the past 3.5 years to dethrone Cena. If it was the coach versus Cena, they were rooting for the coach. It was madness. The crowd were still electric for the main event. It was a great match, but it felt pretty short. It was like 20 minutes. In the end, Cena made the game tap out, and the Chicago crowd was shocked. Nonetheless, it was most likely the right decision. Why? Well, Cena's momentum could have been halted like CM Punk's was in 2011 if he lost to Triple H. Cena would defend the championship at Backlash against Edge and Triple H in one of the best triple threat matches. Cena would then face RVD at One Night Stand, and Triple H turned face and reunited with HBK after 4 years. All in all, I'm confused as to why this Mania isn't mentioned much. It was a fun event, top-bottom, with 2 terrible moments, but the rest is good. The triple threat was rushed for the damn pillow fight, though, but it was still a good Mania in the end.